Loss. I want to talk about loss. Not the meme, but loss in video games, more particularly in Once Human. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to deep dive into a topic that's been pissing a lot of people off online, especially within the Once Human community, seasonal server wipes. If you're freaking out about it, about losing all your progress, or you're just curious about what the wipes entail and why they're actually a great thing, then stick around. I've got some opinions to share that might just change your perspective. Now I want to preface that this video is a bit different from my usual content if you've been following me for a little bit. And disclaimer, a lot of what I'm going to be speaking about is actually my personal opinion. It is my first time doing a video like this, something I've always wanted to do, so I'm pretty excited to be able to actually get to filming something like this. And before we get into it, I just want to express my gratitude for everybody, everyone who has been showing their support to me. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching. So now let's get into it. Once Human, like many survival games, implements seasonal server wipes. These wipes reset certain aspects of the game, but allow you to keep some crucial progress. Despite the benefits, there's been a lot of controversy. If you've been following any of the posts on all these Facebook groups, or any other social media platform for Once Human, you will definitely see what I'm talking about, especially among players in Western societies like the United States and Europe. First, I'm going to break down what these wipes actually do. Then I'm going to get into the drama surrounding them and why I believe they are ultimately beneficial for the game. First, let's talk about the benefits of server wipes. When a wipe occurs, here's what you get to keep. You're going to keep your armor and gun blueprints, even the ones that you've already upgraded with fragments, your blueprint fragments themselves, your equipment mods, especially the ones you've already upgraded as well, furniture blueprints, stellar platoona and sproutlet currencies that you've been collecting from those public crisis events. Your weapons made with calibrations and resources that you've been collecting will be able to be placed into Eternal Land, and any star chrome, weapon accessories that you've unlocked, and cosmetics you've also unlocked will also carry over to the next season. Your blueprints that you've saved for your base will also still be saved and carried over to the next season. This means that you retain a significant amount of the progress you've already made, and particularly the most valuable items and advancements you've worked hard to achieve will still be carried over into the next season. Additionally, server wipes will provide several benefits, such as being able to start fresh and avoid any mistakes you've made your first time, like choosing better mimetic specializations will now be an opportunity for you to have. You'll be able to have access, or at least a chance to settle your base in the most contested regions of the game. So instead of showing up to some of the places with the best resources and seeing houses as far as the eye can see, you'll have a brief moment of time where you'll actually be able to settle there. And any other players that have set up their bases that no longer play anymore, their bases will be gone, freeing up a lot of space that have been taken up over the last few weeks. Also, the wipes will have opportunities for the company and the game developers to introduce new content into the game, and also allowing us to explore more of the map since they'll be expanding it once the server wipes happen. The things that you will lose during these server wipes include your controllers, the little objects that you use in order to claim your rewards when you complete dungeons. So I recommend using up all the ones that you have before the server wipes happen, and any of the mimetics that you've spec'd into. Your mimetic tree will be completely reset as long as your skill level will go right back to 1. And the base that you had currently built will be destroyed and removed. So it's important that you save a blueprint for the base that you have, so you could much more easily rebuild it next time when the server wipes happen. And if you're worried about the fact that you might have built a base with some more advanced resources and that you won't be able to rebuild it in those construction materials because you still haven't unlocked those mimetics required to do that, don't worry. The blueprints allow you to have an option that you could select so you could rebuild your base with the starting material or any other type of form of material that you wish to. So I understand that for many players, the idea of losing their base and starting from scratch can feel like a huge setback. It could piss a lot of people off, especially if you spent a long time not just figuring out how things work, but farming to make those things work. But here's why I think that this reaction, especially amongst the Western player base, is somewhat misplaced. I believe that there's a cultural element at play here. In Western societies, many players have an intense aversion to loss, which can lead to a gut reaction of rejecting the game outright. This isn't even entirely unfounded. Western gamers are often more accustomed to genres like shooters and action-adventure games, where loss isn't as impactful. Games like Call of Duty, Fortnite, and GTA rarely make you lose anything of real value when you die. This conditioning leads to discomfort with the idea of losing progress in a game. However, survival games are built on the premises of handling loss. Think about Minecraft, where you can lose months of progress in seconds from a wither and not being prepared enough to fight it. Or Conan Exiles, where your base could be destroyed overnight by other players and you lose everything that you've owned in that base. Even in DayZ, a game where a minor injury such as a cut can lead to losing everything that you own. These experiences teach valuable lessons in my opinion, and they contribute to player growth. They allow the players to understand what kind of mistakes they have made that led to the outcome of this situation and how to better prepare for it in the future. There's a YouTube video out there by Pirate Software, a YouTuber that makes some pretty good points and some other points I disagree with in his video. And in this video, he discusses this issue, from a cultural perspective. He suggests that Western players are more attached to their characters, which I particularly disagree with. My own experience on the Korean server, which is where my main character is, shows that players there are just as invested in their characters as I am or anyone else. The real difference, I believe, lies in how each culture handles loss. Western players, especially those less familiar with survival games, tend to avoid situations involving significant loss, leading to the backlash against server wipes. Now, I understand it could also be an issue of this genre just isn't for me, and that's totally okay. Not all survival games are for everybody, but I do have to stress, in most survival games, in this genre, it's always been the case that loss is one of the largest components of the gameplay. Even in games that aren't survival based, their loss is so emphasized, not just in the experience of the player, but in the story itself, that I feel like we should be more accepting to these ideas that sometimes the progress that we've made could start over. Such as Dark Souls, for example. Dark Souls has such a high emphasis on death and loss in that game. And you might not lose all your equipment or most of your progress, but you do have to start the area over again. You do feel that the loss on your character has some sort of impact. I like survival games because I like things like camping. I like the idea of having to create a life where it's self-sustained by me and me alone, using the environment around me and the tools that are accessible to me, and the skills in which I have learned. Kind of virtual gaming experience is something I enjoy a lot. And the thing with most of these games is that I've mentioned at least, loss is pretty impactful and much more impactful than it is in Once Human, I would argue. The thing that I love about Once Human is that when I die, I don't have to worry as much as I do when it comes to other survival games. As a matter of fact, I don't even die that often. And when I do, they give us options like adrenaline shots to help me get back up, especially ones specific to the dungeons, separate from the stacks that you have in your regular world, like explorations and adventures, which is great. And above all else, when it comes to the wipes, we keep most of our important progress. We're not going to feel as set back as a lot of the people that have been talking about this without really looking into what consists of the server wipes have been making things out to be. And it's a shame to me. I think this game is great. I feel like this whole topic here has been turning off the game to a lot of potential new players without them ever actually getting a real look at how or what to expect of this game. That being said, I do think that the developers could have mitigated some of this backlash before it actually occurred with a little bit of better communication and much better translation. For example, Things with the game are not explained enough to players, especially new ones, or some of the ways that the information has been translated, especially to English, aren't exactly aligned with how the game mechanics are, or leave out important details. For example, newer players might not realize that guns from loot drops are not the main way to get the really good weapons. These drops are meant to hold players off until they get blueprints that allow them to make much better weapons at their associated tiers levels. Now, the drops that you get from certain bosses, depending on the level of the dungeon, will be appropriate for the level in which you're at if you're doing it at those same levels. For example, if you're level 35 and you're doing a level 35 dungeon, you'll be getting level 35 loot, which is great for you. It'll come out in the tiers that you'll be able to use in case that you have not gotten the blueprint that you want or need from the wish machine, which is the way that you're supposed to be getting your weapons and armor, that the good stuff essentially. And the second purpose of these drops, because they serve a second purpose, is to provide weapon calibration blueprints to enhance the weapons that you are able to create. It's not that these weapons are useless or that they are not too great because you can't repair them yourselves after they get to a certain point. It also helps you to learn which kind of weapon you want to even play with. It's much better to have the option to test weapons out before you buy this weapon. There's a gold gun that you like and you're of tier level 50, right? And you're getting these kind of gold weapons dropped and you're not sure which one you want to play with. You're able to try them out in some dungeons when you get them dropped for you. For example, if you're trying to see if you like the assault rifle and you want to try something that is pretty strong for an assault rifle, like an epic drop weapon from a dungeon that has that kind of benefits or effect that you would like, you could do that before you actually spend your star chrome on the wish machine on a gun that you're not going to really have a lot of fun playing with. The developers also need to explain a little bit better or make it more obvious for people that the wish machine has two functions. There's the random gacha option where you play whack-a-mole and you get random rewards, or you save up for the blueprints by using a lot more star chrome and buying the specific thing that you want through the blueprint shop. I've seen players on Twitch and just people that I know personally that are nearly level 35 or something, and they still don't even know this, that there's two things that you could do in the wish machine, and they've been spending their star chrome on the gacha without knowing that they could be doing the blueprint. The game does tell people that this is an option, but it's very brief. And I feel like since there's so much overload when it comes to conversations between NPCs, as well as just general information for journey quests, as well as world tasks, and on top of the fact that there's 4 different stores nearly for 10 different currencies spread throughout the game, which I know I might be over-exaggerating the exact number, but it feels definitely overwhelming, and people aren't exactly sure which direction they need to go in order to get the things that they want. And I think that's a developer problem rather than just it being a player issue. This overall lack of communication that I'm trying to get at and the problems with translation, I think also contributed to the whole misunderstanding about how server wipes happen, as well as the fact that they didn't understand how a lot of people in the West just don't like the idea of loss, especially those that have not played survival games like that. Overall, in my opinion, I think server wipes are actually very beneficial, the ones that are occurring in Once Human at least. They keep the game fresh, and we're going to get that burnout eventually. That happens with a lot of different types of games like this. It's very important to keep the game alive. It'll level the playing field for a lot of newer players. It'll also allow for continuous growth for the existing players and better improvement. The controversy surrounding these highlights a broader issue, in my opinion, about how we perceive loss in gaming and everything beyond that. I encourage everyone to think about these server wipes with a much more open mind, rather than just immediately shooting down the idea, and looking into what entails with these server wipes in the future, and try to see all of this as more of a opportunity for players rather than a setback. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it up to this point, if you've enjoyed this video and found it insightful, please hit that like button and subscribe. I post a lot of more Once Human content all the time, tutorials, how-tos, and general plays that I do. I also stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/boo_radleyxx, which the link will be in the description below. So come and join me on those streams. You'll learn a lot, I promise, and we'll have a good time. I also have a community on Discord, which that link will also be in the description below. You could use that to reach out to me personally if you have any questions or just need general help with the game. I'm always open, and I always read everyone's comments as well. Don't forget to let me know what you think about everything I've said in this video and what you feel about these server wipes. I genuinely am interested. I want to have a better idea of how everyone's thinking about this, especially players that have been playing for a while. I read all your comments, so don't feel afraid to say whatever you'd like, as long as it's not something that you get banned for or whatever. Don't be crazy. Please don't be crazy. Peace, everybody.